OMG. Just finished an incredible episode with a good friend and an entrepreneur by the name of Brad Bizjack. Okay. This episode is all about one of the key ingredients that you need to have success in life: wealth, money, richness, living a fulfilled life. And that is the mind, the mindset, the thinking, the belief systems, all of that stuff. And we actually dig in deep about his struggles and how he navigates it and how he teaches people the processes and the 5 steps that he takes and takes people through to help them not only conquer the mind, but to rewire the mind for success. And as you know, money is a mind game. It's a behavior game. And if it's a behavior game, it's a mind game. And so enjoy this episode with Brad and I going deep on some of the things that will start to drive and change the mind and the thinking around your money, around your success, and around your life. I'll see you in the episode. Hey, Brad, it's so good to have you here on the show, man.
Thanks for having me, Mel. I'm pumped to be here. Can't wait to serve your audience.
Oh, man, this is so cool. And for those of you that are listening, we're in for a treat. We're in for a chance to have a conversation with someone that understands one of the keys to your wealth, the keys to your success, keys to your business success. In actuality, I think that what we're going to talk about impacts not only your money and your wealth, but it impacts your business, impacts your health, it impacts your relationships, it impacts everything. And I think it actually starts with what we're going to talk about. Brad is one of those guys that really has dug in deep on the elements of success when it comes to the mindset of success, the thought process. And I don't have to tell you that when it comes to money, the stories in our head, some of the stuff that gets in our head gets in the way, and we don't even know it's there. We don't even know that it's infecting us and affecting us. It's just there, and we go, I know this is what I believe, whether money's dirty, whether money's it, or that it's difficult, all those things. And so we're going to get into it with Brad, because hopefully we can take away some of those cobwebs and those things and give you a recipe and a pathway to find success easier, more reachable, and more consistently, not just in money, but in all areas of your life. The whole idea of the affluence blueprint, that one of the first critical outcomes is a richer lifestyle. Richer lifestyle is how we experience life. It's not the bank account. We're not going to measure your life by a bank account. We're going to measure your life by the way you live it and you experience it. So with that, Brad, let's just start off with who's Brad Bizjack? How did you get here?
I'm just some guy that follows you around on the internet. No, but
watch the people you follow.
Thank you so much for having me, Mel. It's a privilege to be here, and it's such an important topic, because what you said about the mindset piece, I have a belief that true wealth isn't in your bank account. It's in the quality of your emotions. It's how you live each day, because you could have achievement all day long, but if you don't have fulfillment, you don't have success. And so my whole world revolves around, how do we help people rewire their mind for a better outlook on, in this case, money or marriage or business or anything, so that you can create those results in your life. And so it really all stemmed back to this hunger and this drive to break through my own financial limitations. I was dealing with, this is 10 years ago now. I had just graduated college. I was just out of school, and I remember I got a corporate job, and I was $92,000.
This is 10 years ago. I just graduated college. Did you just say that in one sentence?
I did. I'm a youngin', Mel.
Oh man, I'm having trouble doing the math on when I graduated college.
Aren't you an accountant? Aren't you good at math? Come on,
I know. But when the numbers get too big, you got to sit there and check your math.
Oh, that's great.
Sorry,
yeah,
it
was 10 years ago now. 10 years ago, that was good. 10 years ago, just graduated college, and I was $92,000 in debt. I was struggling paycheck to paycheck. And at that point in my life, I thought that more money would solve all my problems. And so
you clearly didn't know Mel at the time.
Yeah. Didn't know Mel at the time, didn't have this new beliefs about money. And really, it was just this push to try to break through that area of my life. But deep down, I just wanted to feel like I was taking control of my life. And so I started a business. And I'm like, this is how I can do it. This is my ticket. The only problem was nothing I was doing was working. It wasn't working. I was trying every strategy in the book, and it seemed like my business wasn't taking off. I was living paycheck to paycheck, too much month at the end of the money, and I just felt incredibly stuck, overwhelmed, and overworked. And I remember I was told I needed to hire a mindset coach. And I was thinking, well, why would I do that? I don't have any money. And that's a whole topic for a little bit later from now. But I ended up taking that.
That was so meta. The mindset just got in the way of hiring the mindset coach for the money part. I mean, it's
exactly. Well, and that's the thing that most people are struggling with. Most people are trying to make financial decisions from the mindset that created their scarcity.
Yes.
And that's why they're stuck. And that's where I was. And so I remember on that call, I hired her and maxed out my very last credit card. And I remember her I don't remember the exact word she said, but I remember that it ended up coming down to that true wealth was found in your emotional quality of life and how you think and how you feel, how you're living in each day to day. And when you master your emotions, you will master the strategies that will produce the results. But if you think for any moment that the results are going to make you feel different, you have it backwards. She said that I was so attached to success that I was missing the whole point. And I needed to rewire that thinking. And I just became obsessed with that topic, and changed everything. When I dove into that, I realized I had a true gift to help people.
Before you go on, can I ask a question on that?
Yeah.
Because I think it's an important thing. When you first heard that, was there resistance on your part to going, what is she? I mean, this mindset thing. Come on, no, results are results. Because I think the tendency is to get down to the tactical stuff and think that that's actually what matters. But what's driving the tactical stuff, we don't too often we don't realize until late in the game that it's the mindset that and the emotions around it that drive the tactics.
100%.
So it was interesting to just if you all of a sudden found yourself resisting the acceptance of that.
I was pissed. Yeah, I didn't like it, but it's so true because it's kind of like building a house and wanting to paint it before you have the foundation.
Yeah.
Right. Like you could have the right strategies all day long, but think about weight loss, right? Is weight loss actually complex? No, there's a million strategies in the world and you have to actually work harder to not find the strategies in weight loss. But why do so many people not apply them? Because of the mindset they approach weight loss with. They think I'm big bone, and the beliefs they have about weight impact whether they apply the strategies. So the same thing is true with money.
Yeah,
you
it is.
Have all the investment tactics, but if you have a belief that I'm too young or I'm too old or it's hard to make or it'll disappear, insert BS here, then it won't even matter if you have the tactics because you have the wrong psychology. And success is, I believe, I learned from Tony Robbins years ago, success is 80% psychology, 20% mechanics.
Yeah. Yeah. And you're right. I mean, you look at the whole idea of losing weight, move more, eat less.
Yeah. There you go.
The whole idea of building wealth. Okay. Make more, spend less.
There you go.
It's the same thing, but yet it seems to be difficult for people to do. And I don't mean to be, look, I don't want people to think that I'm being flippant or either one of us are being flippant or glib on this. It is a serious topic, but I think that what we need to understand is there's a simplicity to it when we start to get right down to it. And when we get out of our own way and start down that path and understand that and are willing to do the work like you were, then all of a sudden we see different results.
100%. When I changed this, I went from $92,000 in debt to a multi-seven-figure business in literally 2.5 years. It changed everything. I'm not sharing that to impress anyone. It's literally down to the psychology of how you view wealth. And so maybe a question to ask yourself is, how do you complete this sentence? Money is, right? How do you view it? Is money hard to make? Is money a scarce resource? Am I too old to, reach my goals? Like, what do you believe about money, and how could that be dictating literally every choice you make in regards to it? So I think we need to take a hard look if we're going to actually get your business to the place where realize that, first of all, your business is very different than your financial machine. If we're going to get to that place, if we're going to get to the place where we actually are excited and optimistic about the lifestyle we're building, then we need to take a look at what are the limitations going on behind the scenes that could be preventing us from getting there.
Without a doubt. And you tackle this, but you also tackle this with your clients and some of the work you're doing. And so as you start to look at this tactically, and I love the question, money is, and then trying to just brain dump what it is in our life. We kind of do a similar exercise to start to get towards the money stories. But tactically speaking, where do we start? What do we do? What's the first thing that we should be looking at if we realize that, look, I'm destined for more than what I've got. There's this yearning, there's this aching. I know for me, when I was working at the firm in downtown Los Angeles, the big consulting firm, I won't put the date on it because it's like in the 70s. So
I was negative 18.
Yeah, you weren't even a twinkle in mommy's eyes, So, but I was working in one of the big consulting firms in downtown LA, and it's like, oh man, I was struggling to realize that, God, there's more for me. There's more for me. And I think one of the mindsets that I had to move through. Now, I grew up with a kind of a maverick rebel mindset. So the easiest way to get me to do something is tell me I can't. Okay. But
no, you can't give me $2 million right now.
Yes, exactly. So well, I guess there's limits to it. But I looked at it and I could have let my look, I had a degree in accounting. I had my CPA license. I was at one of the big firms following the path to partnership. So I had parental pressure. I had organizational, the company's expectations of me, their trajectory that they planned my career. I had societal expectations because of my degree and because of what other people thought that I was gonna do. I had my own expectations that I was struggling with, and yet I had this thing inside of me that was tugging at me, that I felt like I was living a life less than what I was meant to do. But I found myself for a number of years suppressing it. I found myself holding back. I found myself not showing up. And to me, that was stuff that's up here in the mind. It's all that stuff and everything. And I think that that's probably part of where you're going with some of this, is that how do we break free of this?
Yeah, it's a wonderful question. And I think that there's really, I would say, three things that people can do to start the process of this. The first thing you need to do is zoom out. If we're going to get super meta with this, you need to, if we're so in, and I can relate to this too. I was in corporate, I was in a job I hated, I brought negative energy to it. I felt this yearning for more. I didn't want to be there. I knew there was this piece of me that was meant to expand. And I was so in the weeds of it because of all this pressure. But when I took a moment and zoomed out and took a look at my life from a bigger picture and asked myself the simple question, what do I actually want? Not what does society want? Not what does society tell me I can have? Not what do my parents want for me? What type of life do I truly want? I think what most people are doing is they're building a life based on beliefs that aren't even theirs. And it's from societal conditioning, and the beliefs that you have about anything impact the potential you tap into, the action you take, and therefore the results you get. And the results you get reinforce the beliefs you already had. Yeah. And so we need to take a moment and zoom out and ask ourselves, in the grand scheme of life, will this lead to my ultimate happiness? Will this lead to what makes me feel fulfilled? One thing that I absolutely love is reverse engineering my life from a eulogy. And this is a different perspective. It's going to sound weird, but your eulogy will not have your bank account, but it will have your character. And so
wait. Say that again.
Your eulogy will not include your bank account, but it will have your character. And I started taking a look at the grand scheme of life, and I started picturing, I didn't know what it would look like, but I started picturing grandkids riding by on their bikes. And I know this is getting really deep really quick, but like I would picture like grandkids riding by on their bikes and hold my wife's hand on the front porch and just seeing this vision of like the last day of my life. And I asked myself, what do I want to feel on that day? Mm-hmm. And once I had that answer, I asked myself a simple question: is what I'm doing right now leading to that place? And the answer was no. And so I needed to get honest with myself. And this leads to number two. I had to get honest with myself about the way that my mind was wired. I needed to change my subconscious beliefs. I needed to come face to face with the stuff that most people are so afraid to look at. And that's, why do I operate this way? Why do I believe that money would solve all my problems? Why do I believe that a corporate job is safe? Why do I believe that if I don't make X amount, I'm not worthy? What is the reason for that? And once I came face to face with that, I started asking myself, well, is that really true? What are the consequences in my life if I keep on believing that? And I started playing that out. I started looking at, well, am I really going to wake up in 5 years having the same bad day? Am I going to wake up feeling overworked and underpaid and underappreciated, not getting my message out there? And so I realized that I needed to start looking at my life from a completely different perspective. I needed to rewire my mind for true success, not success just based on a number. I think so many people chase a number without realizing that, like, it's almost like climbing a ladder. And then one day you wake up and realize the ladder is leaning against the wrong wall.
Yep.
And I think that when we take a look at life from that perspective, it makes things feel a lot simpler and everything doesn't seem as hard. I think when people approach wealth, there's such an energy of push and force and tension. But when we have alignment with who we're meant to be and how we're meant to live, and we're reverse engineering from what we ultimately want long-term, having a grand vision for our life, success and wealth don't feel like this hard push that we need to fight for. It feels like this opportunity that we get to share with others because it's found more in our emotions.
So this is so good because it hits on exactly what we kind of, when we talk about it in the Affluence Blueprint. One of the first step in the Affluence Blueprint is us creating a affluence vision. Mm-hmm. See, when it comes to finances, when it comes to money, too often we create an arbitrary number. I want $1 million. So my question is never to question what they want, but why they want it. You know, and it's kind of alien because I'm an accountant. So to sit back and start getting into the soft fuzzy stuff, but it's really what drives things. So the first principle that we typically teach is why before how and how much.
I love that.
Because when we don't understand what the driver is, what the destination is, this is exactly what happened to me with the bike accident. You know, I got in that bike accident, and my dear friend, I mean, here I was, a grade 4 concussion. I'm in a neck brace. I'm stuttering. I flipped a bike on the pavement and came down on my head, and I had no feeling on the right side. And he takes me to lunch 2 days after I'm out of the hospital and looks at me, and he's been retired. He had been retired for years at that time. He retired at 37. So he's wealthy and doing well. And he was kind of a mentor to me, but we were like brothers. And he looks at me and he says, "How much is enough?" And I'm looking at him like incredulously because I'm sitting in a neck brace. I'm stuttering. I'm still in pain. And I go, I have a grade 4 concussion and you want to ask me philosophical questions about life? Are you out of your mind? And he says, no. He says, the reason you got in that bike accident is because You have no idea where your finish line is. You have no idea where you're going. You may have already passed it and you wouldn't know. You're distracted, you're distressed, and you're running. And you're going to keep running. You'll heal from this. You'll get healed back from this, and you'll get back on the bike and you'll do it again until you crash and burn again. And so often we are running a race that we haven't defined, especially when it comes to finances. And when you couple that with this other piece, which is what you were kind of alluding to, most money lessons are caught, not taught. We get our money mindset, the stories, the things that are either going to allow us to move forward or hold us back through observation, not education. And we think we should know it. And we watched our parents who watched their parents and all those things. And we have no idea where it came from because we've never examined it like you're saying to examine it, and therefore it just is, and we take it as a truth. And those two things coupled together are a financial disaster in waiting.
I 100% agree, because it makes financial dreams seem impossible, and it causes people to give up before they start. They don't know what the target is, so they think they need $800 million in order to have the life they want, when really you don't need that. And when you realize the number is way smaller based on the lifestyle you want to create, all of a sudden it seems more possible. But when people don't know what the end destination is and they haven't reverse engineered it, everything feels so hard. And so people start coming up with stories like, I'm too old, it's too late for me. Or things like, well, what's the point? Why should I even do this? And it just holds them back from it. It makes them stop setting dreams altogether, and people start settling for a life that's less than they're really made for. And they start to get that dull, achy pain where they know they're meant for more. And then because they haven't changed this, they start to create stories like, well, this is just the way my life is. People don't understand my situation. It's harder for me. And they come up with all this limiting BS to rationalize why they're in the place that they are, just so they have some certainty surrounding why they haven't created the results they want. When if they just identified what the unique vision is that they have, a vision that got them excited, all of a sudden creating affluence would seem so much simpler and easier and way more fun.
So it's gold what you just said, because here's the thing. I think today, more than any other time in our history, I'm seeing people settle. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing people accept less than what they're capable of. And I don't mean it from a judgmental, critical perspective. But when I hear someone just resolve themselves to, this is my lot in life, that pains me. I have an idea of where you came from. I came from a blue collar family. My father immigrated here at 17 years old with nothing. He was an engineer, so it wasn't like we came from money. We didn't, so I get it that we have circumstances. I have a dear friend who was in the foster care system that ended up in the NFL. We have the opportunity and the ability to transcend those circumstances and those beliefs around those circumstances. But when we get ourselves to a point where we're willing to accept what is as if it will always be it'll always be that way, that's when that pains me, because I feel like as I've gotten up in the years of my life, I just turned 61 on Friday. It's like, I look at it and I go, I want to get to those last days out of breath, sweating like crazy, and go, that was a hell of a ride. Because I truly believe that's the way we were meant to live. And when we settle ourselves because we can't get out of our own way with the mindset, or we don't think we can make the money, or we don't think we can be the success, we don't think that we can be in a fulfilling relationship, we can tell them that it's not true all day long, but until they fix their beliefs around it, it becomes true in their world. And I think that's the thing that it causes me a lot of pain, because I had a dear friend of mine who was turning 50, and I was talking to him a week before his 50th birthday, And he said, I could tell something was up. I said, hey, what is up? I said, this birthday got you down, He says, and I said, you wondering where it went? The 50 years? And he says, no. I said, what? He says, I'm wondering what's left. Mm-hmm. What? I said, life's left. I said, life's left. Let's go live it. But that's what concerns me, is that when we have, if anyone out there's watching or listening to this conversation, I hope that you're taking stock in it, if there's any inkling of that in your life, because I know that Brad had it, I had it. Look, I lost 1/3 of my net worth. Trust me. I sat back and said, oh my God, I'm no good at investing. I'm no good at money. Look at this. Now what am I in for? I better be working the rest of my life. I mean, this is a struggle that we all go through at some degree. I don't know. I'm not going to say that it ever goes 100% away. It's a vigilant, diligent effort that we need to stay true to our vision for life. I don't know. I kind of rambled there, but it was on my heart.
Well, I love that, Mel. And I would argue that while it is a diligent effort that you need to stay consistent with, I would also argue that it gets easier, way easier the longer you practice. And so what I mean by that is, when we have a default setting, a way of viewing life, let's say through this lens of it's so hard for me, or it'll never work out, or this just challenged mindset, what that accidentally causes is a reinforcement. This, in my personal opinion, this is the reason why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. Because whatever stories we are telling ourselves about our situation cause us to take certain actions and come up with ideas that give us a certain result. And that result, therefore, reinforces the feelings of certainty in the stories we have about our situation. It's confirmation bias.
Yeah.
And so if we shift these stories and shift our default setting, shift how our mind operates, and change the beliefs that are going on from it's too late for me to I can't wait to show myself what I'm capable of, or money is hard to make, to money is an abundant, ever-flowing resource, or something like that, where we shift the subconscious thoughts that are going on behind the scenes and change our relationship with money. Well, from a new relationship comes a new story. From a new story comes a new action. From a new action comes a different result. From a different result comes a reinforcement of that more empowering story. Yeah. And so what we need to do is take a look at, are these stories actually true? You said something a minute ago about, well, most people are, it's learned behavior, it's learned beliefs. Well, if money is quote unquote hard to make or hard to save, or insert BS story here, we need to ask ourselves, where did we learn that from?
Yeah.
Where did that belief stem from? And most of us are operating from a story that's not even ours. I take a look at my previous money belief that money is hard to make. Once you had it, it disappeared. And if you don't have it, you can't be happy. I used to believe those three things. And I never signed a contract saying I believe that. I never said on March 17th of 2016, I am no longer financially abundant. I am living in scarcity. No one ever signed on a dotted line saying this is my story. We learned it over time. We caught those beliefs.
Yes.
And so if we have the courage to examine those beliefs, and it can be scary because it means you're going to have to face all the crap that created them. But if we have the courage to examine those beliefs and ask ourselves, is that really true? Or is that a program based on someone else's experience in life, or learn from somewhere else? Then we can start the process of changing them, which makes everything seem so much more simpler.
When you couple that with the fact that I tell people that no one, and this is hard for some people to accept too, but no one has money issues. What they have is money symptoms of behaviors. Your ability to build wealth, your ability to be good with money is a behavior issue. It's a learnable skill. But if it's a behavior issue, there's a couple things that come with that. One, the burden and the confrontation of the realization that you're responsible. Okay. Now, and I hope everyone hears me on this. You're responsible, but you're not to blame. Okay. I was responsible for getting into the Ponzi scheme and losing 1/3 of my net worth. I was not to blame for it, because blame comes with the stick that beats you up and doesn't move you forward. Responsibility, your ability to respond to something, gives you the power to do something about it. And until I was willing to accept the responsibility of my behaviors, I was not going to be able to fix it. And that's the thing that I think comes about. Well, then let's take it a step further, which goes back to what you do. A behavior is a manifestation of the thoughts before the behavior. So if we take it backwards, potentially you start to look at it and say, well, the level of wealth and the level of money is driven by my thoughts and my mindset, because that drives the behaviors, which drives the results. And if we want different results, we need different behaviors. If we want different behaviors, we better figure out what's going on in the head.
Different roots, different fruits.
Yep.
Absolutely. That's exactly right. You need to change, rewire the way that your mind operates. Otherwise, you're seeing any strategies that Mel says in the Affluence Blueprint, any money strategies at all, you'll see them through the lens of scarcity. You'll see them through the lens of your limiting money stories. And if you could, goes back to the very beginning of the conversation, you have the best strategy, you get the best investment advice. But if you're viewing it through the lens of a limiting money story, it does not matter, because you're trying to paint when you need to build a foundation. And so 100% agree. It all comes back to what are the subconscious thoughts going on behind the scenes, and how do we rewire that to create success?
And you're right now, this is primarily everything you do right now is helping people navigate, kind of become the archaeologist of their mindset in a way that they can replace it with something that is meaningful, that is powerful, that is empowering, that is fruitful for their future and their present.
100%.
Yep.
This is literally what I do all day, every day.
Sweet. And because that's the thing. But you had a journey too, though. And when someone starts down this path, is there an expectation? Someone says, all right, well, first off, I don't believe we can fix someone else. But if they came and said, fix me, they gotta participate in their own rescue, clearly. But I'm trying to figure out how to ask this question. I'm trying to figure out, or trying to get to understand, well, is this something that happens overnight? Is this something that happens over a long time? What is it? What does it take for? I'm trying to set expectations for folks, and then because I think that having your guidance will be helpful for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And I honestly think that, so in terms of the conditioning of a more empowered way of thinking, that's something, like we said, we practice consistently, intentionally over time to reinforce the new empowering beliefs. But to actually make the initial changes, we call this, like, a simple way of putting it is an aha moment or a breakthrough. It's a moment in time when all of a sudden the impossible becomes possible. It's a moment in time where we realize, oh my gosh, that's the way of doing things. And so it actually can happen incredibly quickly. What I've done, and we can talk about this more in a minute if we want to, what I've done is taken a look at, over these last 10 years, like I've been in the game about 10 years, what are the things that have really catapulted not only success, but feelings of happiness and fulfillment? And now, after working with over 20,000 people, I've really boiled that down into 5 core things that people do, where when they make this transition, change can happen incredibly quickly. And so I have an opportunity for people to go down that path if they want to. But to answer your question, it can actually happen very, very quickly. And then people work from there to reinforce that. So
what you're saying, and I hope everyone heard it, it's not complicated. It's 5 core things.
That's it. It's 5 core things.
It's 5 core things that allow you to shift. I think the beauty behind it is that it empowers you and equips you to shift every area of your life if you choose to do so. It's a skill that once learned, once ingrained, can never be taken away. Why I was able to recover from the Ponzi scheme in 18 months, I recovered not only what was lost, but I surpassed it by 3x. So we 3x'd what was lost. But it wasn't until, one, I took responsibility. Two, I realized that I actually had skills. I actually had things that could not be taken away from me. And when you take them through your processes and they acquire those skills, no matter what is going on in their life, those skills can never be taken away. And that's the power and the beauty behind it.
Yeah, once you learn something, you can't unknow it.
No, I have a Texan. At the risk of getting in trouble on this, I have a Texan friend that says, once the poop's out of the rear, you can't get it back in.
Challenge accepted. No, I'm just kidding. Once poop's out of the rear, you can't get it back in. I love that. Yeah, once
he might have said it a little more colorfully than that, but I want to
keep it. Yeah, once we rewire your mind for success, you view it in a completely different way. And it's not just money that it impacts. Like you said, Mel, it impacts every other area of your life. You view your marriage in a different way. You view your kids in a different way. You view just your business. Everything changes. Money is one of those aspects, but everything changes.
Well, it's that quote that I think it's Oliver Wendell Holmes said, a mind once expanded can never go back to its original size. Mm-hmm. And it's true. It's true. So you have something, a way. Because I want, here's the thing. My core belief and my obsession is my core belief is that financial freedom is a birthright. We just need to understand and claim it. And my obsession is I want to lead 1 million people to financial freedom. And that's the thing that I want to do. And I know that one of the things, and we deal with it in some of the work that we do, with respect to, but one of the biggest things that stands in people's way is mindset. It's the thinking. It's those beliefs that are holding them back, which is exactly why I wanted to bring you on the show, to have this conversation and expose them to some of the thinking that you have around this, and to get them to see the possibilities within them for this. But you also have something that's coming up that allow them to go through this process in a more immersive way, totally free. Can we talk about that for a moment and what that is? Because I think it's really going to be really, really helpful for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a program where, like I was mentioning, I've kind of done a study over the last 10 years, and after starting my business and growing it to where it is now, and just taking a look at my life, and I was like, what are the core changes that need to be made in people's lives? And I started training people on this. And I boiled it down to a couple of different ideas, core fundamental principles, where if you shift these few things, everything in your life will change. And so to go through them very, very quickly, what would shift? The first is, like you said, we need a compelling vision, something to pull us. If we get in a car, we're going on a road trip. If we are not excited about the destination, you're going to want to turn around and go home. Okay. The second thing we need to do is we need to what I call awaken. Awaken is where we start the process of uncovering what are these limiting beliefs that are holding us back, and what are the consequences of this. Then we need to prepare, and prepare means this journey is going to have ups and downs. If you follow the market, it's up and down every single day, right? It's going to have ups and downs. And so we need to master our emotions to literally be able to choose how we feel at any given moment. Then we need to drive. We need to take action towards this, and we need to be the most productive version of ourselves so we can actually create that vision. And finally, we need to do what I call align. And align is really about magnetizing these dreams to you, living in true wealth, which is a mindset, not a number. And how do we make this success actually worth it? And so I created a process called the Success Accelerator. It's a 5-day completely free mindset challenge where you're going to discover how high performers succeed so much faster than all their peers without sacrificing any more time away from the people that you love the most, with so much less stress, how to literally become recession proof, how to actually become the person, like we talked about that dull, achy pain inside to become more. How do we actually realize that? And how do we come face to face with these limiting stories and rewrite them in a way that empowers us to succeed beyond standard norms? And so this challenge has now helped over 20,000 people from all over the world. Starts on Monday, October 10th. It's totally free. And so if you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to build wealth, but you feel like your mind is clouded, almost like from a place of like, you're just so ingrained in the nitty gritty of your business, or maybe you feel like it's too late for you, or you're too young, or you don't have enough money, or you don't know how. This is going to completely rewire that thinking. You have to ask yourself the question, if your mind is wired for mediocrity, how can you ever expect to create success? And what this is going to do is not just show you success principles, but actually take a look at the default wiring going on in your mind, the thing that actually causes the beliefs, that cause the thoughts, that cause the behaviors, that cause the results, and shifting those so you have a completely different life very, very quickly. So it's called the Success Accelerator. It's a totally free mindset challenge that starts on October 10th. I would love for you to join us. It is this in so much more depth.
So awesome. And so what we'll do, here's where I want people to go. I'll set up a special link so it's easy for them. Go to melabraham.com/Brad. And that way you can grab a spot. It's totally free. But look, when we can get our mind to align with our vision, to align with our actions, to align with our habits, we will get aligned results. And yet when we are trying to take actions, build habits, and get results, and our mind isn't aligned with it, it's swimming upstream. It's difficult. It's challenging. You might get there, but you're going to be exhausted when you do. And so let's get the mind right to continue on this path to financial freedom, to do it right, to build the business, to create the legacy, to have the ability to get behind movements and missions and live the life that you truly were meant to live bigger and be an example of what's possible. So Brad, before we close out, any last words of encouragement or thoughts and everything? And because I think this was pure gold, my friend. Thank you.
Of course, Mel. It's such an honor to be able to serve. And I think the last thoughts I have are, success is your birthright. If you feel like you're in a place where, there's that dull, achy pain, like I'm meant for more than this, or I'm meant to create this beautiful life, you are. And that voice will be drowned out by society. It will be drowned out by people in your life that have limiting beliefs. It will be drowned out by people that have not created themselves. But when you surround yourself with incredible people that are going after it and you shift this thought process, you become the visionary in your life. And by visionary, I mean you go first. Of course, you have this amazing idea to create wealth. You have this dream, and other people might not agree with that, but you're a visionary. You see it before other people do, and that's a beautiful thing. So own that success is your birthright. Just because you're in this place now does not mean it's permanent. And the past only becomes the future if you live there. So if you want a different future, it means you need to change the root of it all, which is what's going on behind the scenes in your mindset.
So good. So good. I used to tell the kids at the karate, at the martial arts studio when I owned it, I said, you have two choices. You can either be a role model or an example, a warning. I want to choose to be a role model. I want you all to be a role model. And it is why I always say to always strive to live a life that outlives you, because that is a role model's life. So here's the deal. Thank you, Brad. I'll make sure that we hook everything up in the show notes, in the description. We'll get you in there. I'm going to be in the game with you. This is going to be fun because we can never grow enough. And so I appreciate you, Brad, for taking the time, spending the time with my community and our audience and serving the way you do. You've got a heart of gold, always have. And I appreciate being on the journey with you, even if I'm a few years ahead of you. Thank you,
Thanks
my friend.
so much. I appreciate it.
All right, man. We will sign off there. You guys go out there, live your life fully, completely, and live it so it outlives you. See you in the next episode. Cheers.